Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Varanale.
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu Bhuta Krit Bhuta Vrit Bhavo Bhutatma Bhuta Bhavanaha. Meaning, Vishwam, he who is the universe himself. Vishnu, he who spread everywhere. Ashatkaro, he who is the personification of the Vedic sacrifice. Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu, he who is the master of past, present and future. Bhuta Krit, he who has created all the beings in the universe. Bhuta Vrit, he who takes care of all the beings in the universe. Bhava, he who is everything that happens. Bhutatma, he who is the soul of all the beings in the universe. Bhuta Bhavanaha, he who nurtures all the beings in the universe.
Tatma Paramathmaa cha Bhuktanam Paramagati Avyaya Purusak Sakshi Kshetrag Yogshara Evacha. Ma, he who is detached to everyone, or he who has a clean character. Paramathma, he who is every being or the greatest soul. Tanam Paramagatihi, he who is the ultimate salvation of every freed being. He who is always same. Purusha, he who is inside everybody. Sakshi, he who is the witness of everything that happens. Agnya, he who knows the body. Akshara, he who does not have death.
Yogo Yoga Vidam Neta Pradhana Purusheshwara Narasimha Pushriman Keshava Purushottamaha. Yoga, he who can be attained by yoga. Yoga Vidam Neta, he who is the leader of all those who know yoga. Pradhana Purusheshwara, he who is the Lord of nature and beings. Narasimha Vapush, he who is part human and part lion. Shriman, he in whom Sri Goddess Lakshmi resides. Keshava, he who is served by Vishnu, Shiva and Brahma, or he who has beautiful hair, or he who killed Kesi the Asura. Purushottama, he who is the greatest among Purushas, or he who is greater than those who are bound, those who are free and those who are static.
Sarva Sarva Shivasthanor Bhuta Dirnidiravyayah Sambhavo Bhavano Bharta Pravah Prabhurishwaraha. Sarva, he who is everything. Sharva, he who destroys everything when the deluge comes. Shiva, he who is pure. Sthanu, he who is stable. Bhutata, he from whom all the beings evolved. Nidiravyaya, he who is never destroyed even at the deluge. Sambhava, he who is all that happens. Bhavana, he who is the giver of everything. Bharta, he who is the basis and supports all beings. Prabhava, he in whom all the things were born. Prabhu, he who is extremely clever. Ishvara, he who controls and rules all beings or who is a natural ruler. Swayambhu Shambhuraditya Pushkaraksho Mahaswanaha Anadidanodata Vidata Daturuttamaha. Swayambhu means he who is born from himself. Shambhu means he who gives all pleasures. Aditya means he who is one but appears different. Pushkaraksha means he who has lotus-like eyes. Mahaswanaha means he who has a great voice. Anadi Nidana means he who has neither birth nor death. Data means he who carries the world. Vidata means he who creates all actions and their results. Daturuttamaha means he who is greater than the creator.
अप्रमेयो हृषीकेशः पद्मनाभो मरप्रभुः विश्वकर्मा मनुस्त्वष्टा स्थविष्ठस्थविरो ध्रुवः. Meaning, Aprameyaha, one who is not measurable or understandable by any of the accepted means of knowledge, like sense, perception, inference, etc. Hrishikeshaha, the master of the senses, or he under whose control the senses subsist. Padmanabhaha, he in whose navel, Nadi, the lotus Padma, the source of the universe stands. Amara Prabhu, the master of Amaras or the deathless ones, like the Devas. Vishwakarma, he whose karma, work, has resulted in all that exists. Vishnu, or he whose power of creation is unique and wonderful. Manuhu, he who thinks. Tvashta, he who makes all beings shrunken. Tanukarana, at the time of cosmic dissolution. Stavishtaha, he who excels in everything in bulk or substantiality. Sthavira Dhruvaha, eternal one being the most ancient. It is taken as a single phrase, the name along with its qualification.
Agrahya Shashvata Krishna Lohitaksha Pradattanaha Prabhudastrika Guptama Pavitram Mangalam Param. Agrahya, he who is not reachable by senses. Shashvata, he who existed in the past, exists at present and will exist in future. Krishna, he who is black, or he who is personification of truth, happiness and that which is beyond us. Lohitaksha, he who has red eyes. Pradattana, he who destroys everything in the end. Prabhuta, he who is full of wealth and knowledge. Trigaguptama, he in whom resides the three worlds named earth, heaven and hell. Pavitra, he who is pure, or he who makes others pure. Mangalam Param, he who does good to others. Pranada Prano Jesha Prajapati Hiranyagarbho Bhugarbho Madhavo Madhusudanaha. Isana, he who rules over everything. Pranada Prana, he who makes beings move. He who is the soul. Jeshta, he who is elder to others. Jeshta, he who is better than all of others. Prajapati, he who is the chief of all human one. Hiranyagarbha, he who resides as the soul, also is called an universe. Bhugarbha, he who carries the earth within himself. Madhava, he who is the consort of Lakshmi, or he who can be realized only by silence, meditation and yoga. Madhusudanaha, he who killed Madhu the Asura.
ईश्वरो विक्रमी धन्वी मेधावी विक्रमक्रमः Anuttamo duradarsha kritagnya kritiratmavan. Ishvara, he who is supremely strong. Vikrami, he who has the ability to destroy all his enemies. Dhanvi, he who is the supreme archer. Medhavi, he who is the supreme intelligence. Vikrama, he who has measured the world. Krama, he who has spread everywhere. Anuttama, he who does not have anybody better than him. Duradarsha, he who cannot be cowed down by his enemies. Kritagnya, he who knows good and bad of all beings. Kriti, he who is busy in his work. Atmavan, he who only has strength as his basis.
सुरेश शरणं शर्मा विश्वरेता प्रजाभवः अहत् संवत्सरो व्यालः प्रत्यः सर्वदर्शनः. The meaning of this sloga is Suresha, the lord of all the other gods. Sharanam, one who is the refugee. Sharma, one who is bliss. Vishwareta, the son of the universe. Prajabhavaha, one from whom all beings have originated. Aha, protector of devotees. Samvatsara, he who lives for the upliftment of his devotees. Vyala, one who is beyond the grasp. Pratyaya, one who can be relied upon. Sarvadarshana, one who shows his grace to all. Ajas sarveshwara siddhas siddhi sarvadiruchitaha vrishakabirame atma sarvayoga vinisrutaha. The meaning of this sloga is Aja, unborn and remover of all obstacles. Sarveshwara, one who is a Ishvara for all Ishvaras. Siddha, one who is reachable and knowledgeable. Sarvadi, the origin or cause of all things. Achyutaha, one who undergoes no changes like birth, decay, etc. Vrishagabid, one who looked at the earth in the form of Varaha. Atma, one whose nature cannot be comprehended. Sarva Yoga Vinisutaha, one who is beyond any attachment. Vasur Vashamana Satya Samatma Samvita Samaha Ammadga Pundari Kaksha Vishakarma Vishakirtihi Vishakarma Vishakirtihi Vasumana as good heart. Satya, truth. Samatma treats all equal. Samhita can't be missioned. Samaha, no change. Amoga, lotus eye. Amoga Pundarikaksha is lotus eyed. Vishakarma Vishakirtihi is the Dharma. Shloka 13. Rudro Bahushira Babruhu Vishwayoni Suchishtabaha Amrita Shashvata Stanu Vararoha Mahatpaha. Meaning, Rudra, one who makes all beings cry at the time of cosmic dissolution. Bahushira, one with innumerable heads. Bahuru, Babruhu, one who governs the world. Vishwayoni, one who is the cause of the world. Suchishravaha, one whose names and glorious are very holy and purifying to be heard. Amrita, one who is deathless. Shashvatastanu, one who is both eternal and firmly established. Vararoha, he whose lap gives the highest blessing. Mahatapa, austerity connected with creation.
Shloka 14. Sarvagah Sarvavidbhano Vishwaksena Janardhanaha Vedah Vedavid Avyangah Vedangah Vedavid Kavihi. Meaning, Sarvagah, one who pervades everything, being of the nature of their material cause. Sarvavidbhanu, one who is omniscient and illumines everything. Vishwaksena, he before whom all Asura armies get scattered. Janardana, one who inflicts suffering on evil men. Vedah, he who is of the form of the Veda. Vedavid, one who knows the Veda and its meaning. Avyangah, one who is self-fulfilled by knowledge and other great attributes and is free from every defect. Vedanga, he to whom the Vedas stand as organs. Vedavid, one who knows all the Vedas. Kavi, one who sees everything.
Lokadaksha, Suradaksha, Dharmadaksha, Krita Krita, Chaturagma, Yuvas, Chaturdamsa, Chaturbuja. Meaning, Lokadaksha, he who presides the universe. Suradasha, he who directs the devs. Dharmadaksha, he who presides over Dharma. Kiti Kita, he who is the main and results of everything. Chatur Alma, who is Brahma during creation, Vishnu during the upkeep, during destruction, and Janagana during praharya of the world. Chaturvyuha, he who manifests as four mighty powers. Chakra, Chaturdam Chakra, he who has four arms. Chaturbuja, he who has four arms.
Brajishnur Bhojanam Bhukta Sahishnur Jagadadijah Anago Vijayo Jeta Vishwayonihi Punarvasuhu. Let me explain the 10 names of Mahavishnu, which is Brajishnu, he who himself is the light or is the form of light, which means he is the one who shows us the right path. Bhojanam, he who is the object of enjoyment. Bhokta, he who is the consumer of nature or he is the one who enjoys. Sahishnu, he who forgives and has immense patience. Jagadadi Jahar, he who was born before the world was created. Anago, he who is sinless. Vijayo, he who is victorious. Jeta, he who is conqueror. Vishwayonihi, he who himself is the universe and its creator. Punarvasuhu, he who lives again and again as Antaratma in all his creation. Thank you. Upendra Vamana Pramshor Amoga Suchururjita Atindra Sangraha Sargo Dhrititmaniyamo Yamaha. Upindra, he who is Indra to Indra himself. Vamana, he who was born as Vamana. Pramso, he who grew big when measuring the world as Vamana. Amoga, he whose actions are never wasted. Suchi, he who cleans the mind of those who pray him. Urjita, he who is very powerful. Atindra, he who is above Indra. Sangraha, he who destroys during the deluge. Sarga, he who is the personification of creation. Drititma, he who is birthless and stable. Niyama Yamaha, he who appoints other and control others.
Vedyo Vedya Sada Yogi Viraha Madhavo Madhavo Atindrayo Mahamayo Mahotsaho Mahamalaha. Vedya, one who has to be known by those who aspire for mokshas. Vedyaha, one who knows all vidyas or branches of knowledge. Sada Yogi, one who is ever experienceable, being ever existent. Viraha, one who destroys heroic asuras for the protection of dharma. Madhava, one who is the lord or master of ma or knowledge. Madhava, honey, because the Lord gives joy, just like honey. Atindriyaha, one who is not knowable by the senses. Mahamaya, one who can cause illusion even over other great illusionists. Mahotsaha, one who is ever busy in the work of creation, sustentation, and dissolution. Mahabala, the strongest among all who have strength.
महाबुद्धिर् महावीर्यो महाशक्तिर्महाद्युतिः अनिर्देशवपुः श्रीमान् अमेयात्मा महादृदृक्. Mahabuddhi, he who has tremendous knowledge. Mahavirya, he who even if there is reason to worry never gets worried. Mahashakti, he who is very strong. Mahadyuti, he who has great luster. Anirdeshya Vapu, he of whom nobody can tell that he is thus. Shriman, he in whom godly wealth resides. Ameyatma, he who has immeasurable knowledge. Mahadridrik, he who lifted large mountains.
Maheshwaso Mahevartha Srinivasa Satin Gatihi Aniruddha Suranando Govindo Govindam Patihi. Maheshwaso, he who is a great archer. Mahivarta, he who lifted the earth when he was born as Varaha. Srinivasa, he in whose chest resides Sri Devi. Satangati, he who is the path of pious. Aniruddha, he who cannot be stopped by anybody. Surananda, he who makes devas happy. Govindo, he who lifted the earth. Govindam Pati, he who is the leader of those who know Vedas. Marichutta Manohansa Supamno Bhujagotama Hiranyanava Sutapa Padmanava Prajapati Meaning Marichi, he who is in the form of light. Damana, he who punishes. Hamsa, he removes fear of those who consider him as themselves. Suparna, he has beautiful wings. Bhujagotama, in shape of good serpent. Hiranyanaba, he who has belly like gold. Sutapa, he who has done great penance. Padmanabha, he who shines. Belly of lotus of our heart. Prajapati, he who is the chief of people.
Amrita Sarvadrik Simha Sandata Sandiman Siraha Ajo Durmashana Shastra Vishrutatma Surariha. Meanings: Amrita, he who does not have death. Sarvadrik, he who sees everything. Simha, he who troubles the sinners.
Sandhata, he who adds the devotees to himself. Sandiman, he who adds all those who experience him to himself. Striya, he who is permanent. Aja, he who is inside everything. Durmashana, he whom the enemies cannot defeat or bear. Sastra, he who orders and make others obey. Vishnu he who is the soul that all the good one is told. Surariha, he who destroyed the enemies of Devas.
गुरु दमो दाम सत्य सत्य पराक्रमः निमिषो निमिषस्रक्ति वाचस्पतिरुदारदिः. Guru, one who is the teacher. Guru Damo, one who is the teacher for all teachers of this world. Dama, one who is abode of all. Satya, one who is always truthful. Satya Parakramaha, one who is truly courageous. Nimisho, one who is always silent in eternal transcendence. Nimisha, one who is vigilant. Shrakvi, one who has the Vaijayanti garland. Vachaspati, one who is the lord of all different kinds of art. Rudaridhi, one who is extremely intelligent.
Agrani Gramani Shriman Nyayo Neta Samiranah Sahasramuda Vishwatma Sahasraksha Sahasrabad. Agrani, one who leads all liberation seekers to the highest status. Gramani, one who has the command over Bhutagrama or the collectivity of all beings. Shriman, one more resplendent than everything. Nyayo, the consistency which runs through all ways of knowing and which leads one to the truth of non-duality. Neta, one who moves this world of becoming. Samirana, one who in the form of breath keep all living beings functioning. Sahasramudha, one with 1,000, that is immutable heads. Vishwatma, the soul of the universe. Sahasraksha, one with 1,000 or immutable eyes. Sahasrabad, one with 1,000, that is immutable legs. Avartano nivrittatma samvritah sampramadanaha aha samvartaho banhi anilah dharanidaraha. He is the one who causes cyclical movement. He is the one whose self is completely still. He is the one who is completely immersed. He is the one who is in eternal movement. He is the one who supports the earth.
Suprasada Prasannatma Vishwadhrit Vishwabhuk Vibhu Satkarta Satkrita Sadhur Janmur Narayano Naraha. He who is the mercy personified, clever-headed forever, he takes care of the world. He is the one who eats up the world during deluge. He has many forms. He worships those who do good deeds. He is worshipped by good people. He walks in the path of rightness. He prevents people without bhakti from attaining him. He is the one who resides in all the things he creates, and he whom all the souls reside. He shows the path.
Asankheyo aprameyatma vishishta shishta krishtuchihi siddhartha siddha sankalpa siddhita siddhi sadhanaha. Asankheya, he who is beyond counting or he who is infinite. Aprameyatma, he who is beyond knowledge. Vishishta, he who is the greatest. Shishtakrit, he who orders or he who protects good people. Suchi, he who is blemishless. Siddhartha, he who has all he wants. Siddha Sankalpa, he who realizes all that he wants. Siddhita, he who gives devotees the ability to attain their wants. Siddhi Sadhanaha, he who is wants and the reason for wants. Slogan number 28. Vrishahi Vrishabor Vishnur Vrishabharva Vishodaraha Vardhano Vardhamanacha Vivikta Striti Saharaha. Meaning, Vrishahi, he who shines the day. Vrishabho, he who showers all wishes of his devotees. Vishnu, he who measured the world in Vamana avatar. Vishabharva, he who can be attained through the staircase of Dharma, right action. Vishodaraha, he who keeps all beings in his belly. Vardhano, he who reads beings. Vivikta, he who stands alone. Stuti Saharaha, he who is the ocean in which all Vedas live. Slogan number 29. Subhujo Durdaro Vatmi Mahendro Vasudo Vasuhu Naikarupo Prahatropas Sipiveshta Prakashanaha. Meaning, Subhujo, he who has good arms. Durdaro, he who carries everything but not carried by anybody. Vatmi, he who is a great orator. Mahendra, he who is God to the gods. Vasudha, he who gives good pleasure and wealth. Vasu, he who is wealth. Raikarupa, he who does not have one appearance. Brihatropas, he who has a big appearance. Brihatropas, he who has a big appearance. Sipivishta, he who is inside a ray of light. Prakasanaha, he who makes everything shine.
ओजस तेजो द्वितीतरः प्रकाशात्मा प्रतापनः विद्यस्पष्टो सर्वो मन्त्रः संध्यासुष्भास्करयतिः. Meaning, Ojas Tejo Dvititarah, he is the one who holds various levels of luster. Example, Ojas, Tejas and Dviti. Prakash Atma, he is the personification of luminance. Pratapana, he is the one who causes flow. Riddash, he is the one who is richly endowed. Spashta Sarva, he is the clear explanation. Mantras, he is the embodiment of divine sound. Chandra, he is the embodiment of lunar aspect. So, Sudbhaskar, he is the radiance of the sun.
अमृतां शुद्भवो बाणो सशबिन्दुः सुरेश्वरः औषधं जगदस्येतु सत्यधर्मपराक्रमः. Amritam Shudbhavo is he who made the moon appear from the ocean of milk. Banu is he who shines himself. Sashabindu is he who is like the moon. Sureshwaraha is he who is the chief of those who do good. Aushadam
Aushadam is he who is medicine. Jagada Setu. Jagada Setu is he who is the bridge for worlds. Satya Dharma Parakramaha. Satya Dharma Parakramaha is he who is the truth of dharma and valorous.
Bhuta Bhavya Bhavannata Pavana Pavano Nalaha Kamaha Kamakrikanta Kama Prada Prabhu Bhuta Bhavya Bhavannata. He who's the Lord of past, present, and future. Pavanaha, he who cleans the form of wind. Pavanaha, he who makes the wind blow. Nalaha, he who we never get satisfied. Kamaha, he who removes bondage of life. Kamakrit, he who satisfies wishes. Kamaha, he who is attractive because of his beauty. Kamaprabhu, he who is desired by everybody. Prabhu, he who stands tall.
Yugadikrit yugavarto Naikamaya Mahashanaha Adishyo Vyaktarupascha Sahasrajidanandajit. Meanings: Yugadikrit, he who created divisions of time. Yugavarta, he who makes time periods come again and again. Naikamaya, he who creates many illusions. Mahasana, he who is a big eater during deluge. Adrisya, he who is not visible. Vyaktarupa, he who is clearly visible to yogis. Sahasrajit, he who defeats thousands of bad people and Rakshasas. Anantajis, he who is victorious forever.
Ishto Vishishta Shishteshta Shikandi Nahusho Vishaha Krodaha Krodakritkarta Vishwabahu Mahidara. Ishta, he who is liked by everyone. Avishta, he who does not have anyone above him. Shishteshta, he who is dear to the learned. Shikandi, he who wears the feathers of peacock. Rahusha, he who ties soul by illusion. Vrishaha, he who reigns wishes of devotees. Krodaha, he who removes anger from devotees. Krodakrit karta, he who destroys those becoming angry. Vishwabahu, he who has hands all over the universe. Mahidara, he who supports the earth.
Achyuta pratita prana pranado vasavanujaha apannidhiradhishtanam apramatha pratishtitaha. Achyuta, he who never changes. Pratita, he who is famous. Prana, he who is the soul. Pranado, he who gives strength. Vasavanuja, he who is the brother of Indra. Apannidhi, he who is the ocean. Adhishtana, he in whom the world stays. Apramatha, he who is always watchful. Pradishtitaha, he who has become stable.
Skanda Skandadaro Durkyo Varado Vayu Vaganaga Vasudeva Prigad Banur Adideva Purandaraha.
Meaning: Skanda,
He who is the nectar.
Skandadharo,
He who supports path of righteousness. righteous.
Duryo.
He who carries weight of the world.
Bharado.
He who gives food.
Vayuvakanaha.
He who makes the wind move.
Vasudevo.
He who is in everything and placed there.
Brihat Banur.
He who has white rays which goes everywhere.
Adidevo.
He who is the first reason of the world.
Purandaraha.
He who destroys cities of asuras.
Ashoka Starana Stara Shura Shaure Taneshwaraha Anupula Sadavarta Padmi Padmanipeshanaha. Meaning Ashokas, he who is never sad. Starana, he who helps one to cross the sea of life. Stara, he who gives strength to face the fears of life. Shura, he who has valor. Shaurir, he who is a hero, son of Vasudeva, Ganeshwaraha. He who is God for all those who are born. Anukulas, he who is positively interested in everyone. Sadavartaf, he who born several times to protect Dharma. Padmi, he who has lotus on his hand. Padmanipeshanaha, he who has two lotus like eyes.
Padmanabho Aravindacha Padmagarpa Sharirabhit Magatiruddho Vridhatma Magaksho Garudatpadaga. Meaning Padmanabho, he who has the lotus on his belly. Aravindacha, he who has beautiful lotus like eyes. Padmagarpa, he who is being meditated in the lotus of our mind. Sharirabhrit, he who takes many forms. Magati, he who has great wealth. Riddho, he grows in the form of universe. Vridhatma, he who is oldest. Magaksho, he who has big eyes. Garudatpadaga, he who is Garuda in his flag. Adula Sharabo Bhima Samayaknyo Haviradihi Sarvalakshana Lakshanyo Lakshmi Van Samitin Jaga. Meaning Adula, he who has no equals. Sharabo, he who lives as soul in being. Bhima, he who makes everyone afraid of him. Samayagno, he who treats all as equals. Haviradihi, he who takes care of God in a yaga. Sarvalakshana Lakshanyo, he who has all good characteristics. Lakshmi Van, he from whom Lakshmi never leaves. Samitin Jaga, he who wins in all wars.
विक्षरोरोहितो मार्गो हेतुर्दामोदरस्सहः महीधरो महाभागो वेगवानमिताशनः. Meaning Viksharo, he who is never destroyed. Rohito, he who is red like inside of lotus. Margo, he who is the way for eternal bliss. Hetur, he who is the cause. Damodara, he who was tied by Yashoda in the stomach. Sahaha, he who tolerates everything. Mahidaro, he who carries the world. Mahabhago, he who receives the best share offered by devotees. Vegavan, he who is very fast. Amitashanaha, he who takes immeasurable food.
Udbhava Shobhano Deva Shri Garbha Parameshwara Karanam Karanam Karta Vikarta Gahano Guha. Udbhava, he who is the reason for the birth of the world. Shobhano, he who during creation chants Purusha and Prakriti. Deva, he who wins over Asura. Shri Garbha, he who keeps his wealth in his belly. he who is the instrument for creations of the world. Karana, he who is the cause for creation of the world. Karta, he who is independent. Vikarta, he who is created peculiar word. Gahano, he whose shape, strength, and action are difficult to know. Guha, he who hides everything by illusion.
सायो व्यवस्थान समस्तान स्थानदो ध्रुवः परदि परमस्पष्ट दुष्ट पुष्ट सुभेक्षणः Vyavasayo, he who is personification of knowledge. Vyavasthana, he who is not born with any limitation. Samasthana, he who has best position. Sthanada, he who gives position. Dhruva, he who is permanent. Parati, he who has great wealth. Paramaspashta, he who is extremely clear. Dushta, he who is in the form of immortal bliss. Pushta, he who is always complete. Subhekshanaha, he who has blissful sight.
Ramo viramo virato margo neyo nayo nayah Veera Shakti Matham Shreshto Dharmo Dharma Viduttama. He who makes others to be happy with him. He who is the ultimate end of everything. He who is not interested in worldly pleasures. He who is the path. He who obeys orders of the sages devoted to him. He who makes everything work. He who cannot be led by anybody. He who is personification of valor. He who is strongest among the strong. He who is worshipped by all faiths. He is the greatest among those who know Dharma.
Vaikunda Purusapranam Pranavakritu Iranya Garbha Sadguruno Vyapto Vaya Adaksajaha. English meaning Vaikunda, he who removes all obstacles in the way of devotees to attain
He who is an expert in all things.
Vistarasthavarasthanu pramanam bijamavyayam artho nartho mahakoso mahabhogo maharanah. Vistara, he who makes all the world embroidered in him. Stavarasthanu, he who made the world stable within him. Pramana, he who is the law to support everything. Bijamavyaya, he who is the deathless reason. Atta, he who is loved by others. Anartha, he who does not wish and think. Mahakosa, he who is immersed in the 5 continents. Mahabhoga, he who is the pleasure. Mahaganaha, in life personified, who has great wealth.
अनिर्विन्नस्तविष्टो भूर्धर्मयूपो महामकः नक्षत्रनेमि नक्षत्री क्षमक्षामः समीहनः. Anirvinna, he who does not hate others. Stavishta, he who is spread everywhere in his majestic form. Abhu, he who does not have birth. Dharmayupa, he who is like a pillar in which right action, dharma, is tied. Mahamakaha, he by whom yagnas become great by giving to him. Nakshatra Nemi, he who is like the zodiac. Nakshatri, he who is like the moon, who is the chief of stars. Kshama, he who is perennially patient. Kshama, he who remains alone after the deluge. Samihanaha, he who likes jobs like creation.
यज्ञयुज्यो महेज्यश्च क्रतुः सत्रं सताङ्गतिः सर्वदर्शी विमुक्तात्मा सर्वज्ञो ज्ञानमुत्तमम्. Meanings: Yajna, he who is personification of sacrifice. Yajya, he who is being worshipped by yagas. Mahejya, he who is the greatest among those worshipped by yagas. Kratu, he who is personification of performance of yaga. Satram, he who is the form of Satra Yaga or he who protects good people. Satangatihi, he who is the ultimate goal of those who seek for salvation. Sarvadarshi, he who knows everything naturally or he who sees everything. Vimuktatma, he who is the soul which has left all its bondages. Sarvatnya, he who knows all that is to be known. Jnanamuttamam, he who is not born, ever existing, giver of all that is needed and personification of right knowledge.
Suvrita, Sumukara, Sukshma, Sugosha, Sukarta, Suhrita, Manoharochitat Kroto, Veera Bahul, Vitaranaha. Meanings: Suhrita is a great penance. Sumukha, beautiful face. Sukshma, a smallest thing. Sugosha, whose voice is Vedas. Sugosha, Sukada, who gives happiness to devotee. our mind. Jitat Kroto, who will not get angry. Veerabahul, who has strong shoulder. Vitaranaha, whose tears of the Pabam. Swapana Swavasho, Vyapinaikatmanaika Karma Krute. Vatsaro, Vatsalo, Vatsi, Ratnagarbodaneshwaraha. Swapana, he who makes all beings sleep by illusion. Swavasho, he who is not in the control of others, or he who lives with himself. Swavyapi, he who has spread everywhere. Naikatman, he who takes various forms depending on need. Naika Karma Krite, he who does various jobs like creation, upkeep and destruction. But Sarra, he who is the abode of everything. Vatsala, he who loves his devotees. Vatsi, he who protects calves, all are calves, children to him. Ratnagarbo, he who is the ocean which keeps perils with itself. He who Daneshwaraha, he who is the god of wealth.
Dharmagup Dharmakrit Dharmi Sada Sadaksharamaksharam Avijnada Sahasramshu Vidata Krita Lakshana. Dharmagup, he who protects Dharma. Dharmakrit, he who practices Dharma in spite of his being much about it. Dharmi, he who supports Dharma. Sada, he who is the ultimate permanent truth. Asada, he who is the ultimate truth which is hidden by illusion. Kshara, he who is all who deceives themselves as the mind, body and sense. Akshara, he who is beyond mind, body and sense. Avignada, he who is not one who does not know. Sahasram, he who has 1,000 rays. Vidata, he who carries the world and also those who carry it like Alisha, Digaja, etc. Krita Lakshana, he who made the signs of properties of all aspects.
Prabhastinemi Satvastha Simbho Buddha Maheshwaraha Adidevo Mahadevo Devesho Deva Bridguruhu. Meaning, he who is in the form of the zodiac, he who prevails amongst Sattva Guna, kind-hearted, disciplined life, or he who lives among souls, he who is born as a lion, or he who is as royal as a lion, he who is the first and ultimate God of all beings, or he who is the God of everything, he who is the God before Devas, or he who is the first God, he who lived in renunciation and by yoga became the greatest truth, God, he who is the God of Devas, he who is the teacher, Guru for Indra, the chief of Devas.
Uttaro Gopatirgopta Jnanagamyah Puratanaha Sharirabhuta Bhritbhokta Kapindro Bhuri Dakshina. Uttaro, he who saves all beings from the miserable ocean of mortal life, or he who awoke to help the Devas. Gopati, he who raised the castle. Gupta, he who is the savior. Jnanagamya, he who can only be attained by right knowledge. Puratana, he who is very ancient. Sarira Bhutabhrit, he who is the soul of Panchabhutas, which is the basis of all beings. Bhokta, he who enjoys the truth in himself, or he who takes care of all beings. Kapindra, he who is Rama, who is dear to all monkeys, or he who has taken the avatar of Varaha. Bhuri Dakshina, he who conducts yogas and gives cash benefits to many.
सोमपो मृतपः सोमो पुरुजित् पुरुषोत्तमः विनयो जय सत्यसन्धो दासार्ह सात्वतां पतिः. Somapo, he who drinks soma, mritapa, he who drinks the nectar of the bliss of the soul, Atmananda. Soma, he who in the form of moon helps plants to grow, Purujit, he who has won over several, Purusatamaha, he who is the best in several forms, Vinaya, he who punishes bad people, Jaya, he who wins every other being, Satyasandha, he who never breaks his word, oath, Dasarha, he who gives all to his devotees, or he who was born among the Yadavas, Satatampati, he who takes care of the authors of the Shastra of Satvata.
जीवो विनयिता साक्षी मुकुंदो मित विक्रमः अम्भोनिधिरनन्तात्मा महोदधिशयोऽन्तकः. Jiva, he who in the form of soul makes all beings. Vinayita Sakshi, he who is a witness to obedience by others to him. Mukunda, he who gives immortal bliss, moksha. Amita Vikrama, he who is immeasurable steps, or he was greatest valor. Ambonidhi, he who is the ultimate sojourn to devas, manushyas, asuras and pitros, or he who has kept himself in the ocean to carry the worlds. Anantatma, he who is immeasurable, or he who is the soul of Adisesha. Mahodadishaya, he who sleeps on the ocean. Antaka, he who brings about end of everything.
अजो महार्ह स्वाभाव्यो जिता मित्रः प्रमोदनः आनन्दो नन्दनो नन्दः सत्यधर्मा त्रिविक्रमः. Aja, he who is the beginning and in the form of Manmatha. Maharha, he who is fit to be worshipped. Swabhavya, he who by nature is not different, or he who is usual. Jitamitra, he who has won enemies inside and outside. Pramodanaha, he who is always happy, or he who makes those devotees who meditate on him happy. Ananda, he who is the personification of happiness. Nandana, he who makes his devotees happy. Nanda, he who is full of everything that is needed, or he who has crossed the ordinary pleasures. Satyadharma, he who is the truthful dharma. Trivikramaha, he who measured the world in 3 steps.
ऋषिकपिलाचार्या कृतज्ञा मेदिनीपतिः त्रिपादा त्रिदशाध्यक्षो महाशृङ्गकृतान्तकृते. Meaning, Maharishi Kapilacharya, he who is sage Kapila. Kritanya, he who is the world and soul which knows the world. Medinipati, he who is the lord of the world. Tripada, he who has 3 steps, and he who is formed by 3 letters, Ahu Im. Tridasadyaksho, he who directs the 3 states of wakefulness, sleep and dream. Mahashrunga, he who has the great horn in which he tied the earth, travelling in the boat during deluge. Kritantakrita, he who directs the world, he who destroys his world created by himself.
महावराहो गोविंद सुषेण कनकांगधी गुह्यो गभीरो गहनो गुप्तश्चक्रगदाधरः. Meaning, Mahavaraho, he who took the shape of Varaha, Govinda, he who lifted the earth, Sushena, he who has a great army, Guhya, he who is known only by the secret Upanishads, Gahana, he whose shape, strength are difficult to know, Gupta, he who is hidden from mind and the words, Chakragadadaraha, he who keeps the holy wheel and holy mace to save the world.
वेदास्वाङ्गोजितः कृष्णो दृढः सङ्कर्षणोच्युतः वरुणो वारुणो वृक्ष पुष्कराक्षो महामनाः. In this shloka, there are 11 names of Lord Vishnu. Vedasa, he who creates or he who gives immeasurable happiness and wealth to his devotees. Swanga, he who is the instrument, reason and cause for existence. Ajitaha, he who cannot be one. Krishna, he who is the color of the black clouds, or he who is Krishna Dvaipayana, the sage. Dhrida, he who has no change in his character and ability. Sankarshano Achyutaha, he who draws being within himself during the deluge. Varuna, he who is the purple sun who is about to set, or he who hides everything. Varuna, he who is Vasishta, who is the son of Varuna. Vriksha, he who is firm and stable like the tree. Pushkaraksha, he who is spread completely, or he who rained kindness from his eyes. Mahamanaha, he who performs creation, upkeep and destruction by a thought in his great mind.
Bhagavan Bhagahanandri Vanamari Halayudaha Adityo Jodiraditya Sahishnurgati Saktamaha.
Meaning, Bhagavan, the origin, dissolution, the bondage and salvation of creatures, knowledge and ignorance. One who knows all of these is Bhagavan. Bhagaha, one who withdraws the bhagas beginning with lordliness into in himself at the time of dissolution. Anandi, one whose nature is Ananda, that is bliss. Vanamali, one who wears the floral wreath called Vaijayanti, which consists of the categories of 5 elements. Halayuda, one who in his incarnation as Balabhadra had Halayuda or plowshare as his weapon. Aditya, one who was born of Aditi in his incarnation as Vamana. Jyotiraditya, one who dwells in the brilliance of the sun's orb. Sahishnuhu, one who puts up with the contraries like heat and cold. Gati Satamaha, one who is the ultimate resort and support of all and the greatest of all beings.
Sudhanvaghanda parashuddharuno travinapratah Devasprik sarvadrikvyaso vachaspatirayo nijaha. Meaning, Sudhanva, he who has the holy bow called Saranga, which is the personification of our senses, Khanda Parasu, he who has an axe to kill his enemies, Daruna, he who is cruel to those who prevent the right path, Dravina Prada, he who gives wealth asked by his devotees, Divasprik, he who touches the sky or shows his secret form by touch, Sarvadrik Vyasa, he who writes about all knowledge, Vachaspati Rayo Nija, he who was not born but is the Lord of knowledge.
Trisama Samagasama Nirvanam Beshajam Vishagat Sanyasakritsam Ashando Nishta Shanti Parayanam. He sings Samaveta and he is Samaveta. He is beyond all sadness. He is the doctor and he is the medicine. He introduced sannyasa. He controls everything. He is not attracted by pleasures. He is the place where everything starts and ends. He is the cause of removing ignorance.
शुभांग शांति दशष्टा कुमुद कुवलेशयः गोहितो गोपतिर्गोप्ता वृषभाक्षो वृषप्रियः. Shubhanga, he who has beautiful limbs, or he who carries out the Ashtangas, the path to salvation. Shantita, he who gives peace. Shishta, he who creates everything. Kumuda, he who is happy to be in the world. Kuvalesaya, he who sleeps on the ocean surrounding the world. Gohida, he who does good to earthly beings, or he who puts limits to nature. Gopati, he who is the lord of all beings in the world. Gopta, he who takes care of the world. Vrishabhaksha, he whose merciful eyes showers whatever is prayed for. Vrishapriyaha, he who loves dharma.
Anibhakti nivritatma samksheta kshema kritchivaha Shrivatsavaksha Shrivasa Shrivati Srimatambaraha. Anibhakti, he who never returns from a war without victory. Nivritatma, he whose mind never attaches itself to pressure. Samksheta, he who shrinks the wide world during their youth. Ksemakrita, he who keeps those recognized by him comfortable. Shiva, he who removes sins as soon as his name is thought of. Srivatsa Bhakshas, he who has Srivatsa on his chest. Srivasa, he in whom goddess Lakshmi lives. Sripati, he who is the lord of goddess Lakshmi. Srimatambara, he who is the great among gods. Sridhar Shrisha Srinivasa Srinidhi Shri Vibhavanaha Sridhara Shrikara Shreya Shriman Lokatraya Shreyaha. Sridhar, he who gives wealth to his devotees. Shrisha, he who is the god of the goddess Lakshmi. Srinivasa, he in whom goddess Lakshmi lives. Srinidhi, he who is the treasure of all strength. Shri Vibhavanaha, he who gives to all beings wealth according to merit earned by them. Sridhara, he who carries the goddess Lakshmi on his chest. Shrikara, he who gives all wealth to his devotees. Shreya, he who is the personification of personal happiness. Shriman, he who is a gentleman. Lokatraya Shreyaha, he on whom the three worlds depend.
Swakshaswangashatanando Nandir Jyotirganeshwaraha Vijitatma Vidheyatma Satkirtishchinna Samshayaha. Swakshas, he is the one with beautiful eyes. Swangas, he is the one with beautiful limbs. Shatanando, the one who causes hundreds of joys. Nandir, he who is in the bliss. Jyotir, he who is the ruler of all beings of light. Vijitatma, he who has conquered himself. Vidheyatma, he who is not subject to anybody's will. Satkirtish, he who has an honorable repute. And Chinna Samshayaha, he whose dilemmas have been conquered.
Udhita sarvatas chakshuhu adisha shashvatasthiraha bhushayo bhushado bhutihi vishoka shokadashadaha. Meaning, Udhirna, he who is greater than all beings. Sarvatas chakshuhu, he who sees everything everywhere. Anisha, he who does not have any god above him. Shashvatas tiraha, he who is permanently stable. Bhushayo, he who slept on the ground.
Bhushana, he who decorated the world. Bhutihi, he who has existed. Vishoka, Vishoka, he who is never sad. Vishoka Nashanaha, he who destroys sadness of his devotees. Archishman Archita Kumbha, Vishuddhatma Vishodhanaha, Aniruddho Pratirataha, Pradyumno Mitavikrama. Meanings: Archishma, he who gives lights to astral bodies. Archita, he who is worshipped in three worlds. Kumbhaha, he who is being worshipped in temples in earth. Vishuddhatma, he who has clean habits. Vishodhanaha, he who removes sins of those think about him. Aniruddho, he who can never stop by his enemies. Pratirataha, he who has no enemies. He who has no enemies. Pradyumno, he who has great wealth. Mitavikrama, he who has immeasurable fame.
Kalanimi, Nihavira, Shauri, Shura, Janiswaraha. Trilokatma, Trilokesa, Kesava, Kesiha, Harihi. Kalanimiha, he who killed Kalanimiha. Veera, he who is brave. Shaura, he who born in Krishna dynasty. Shura Janeswaraha, he is a great god. Trilokatma, he is present in all three worlds. Trilokesa, he is king of all three worlds. Kesava, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva reside in him. Kesiha, he who killed Kesi. Harihi, he who removes births and deaths. Kamadeva, Kamapala, Kami, Khantakritagamaha, Haniddesha Vapu Vishnu, Vigo Nando Dhananjayaha. Kamadeva, he who is passionately loved by his devotees. Kamapala, he who takes care of desires. Kami, he who fulfills desires. Kanta, he who has the attraction. Ritagama, he who creates the holy wool books. Anirdeshavapu, he whose looks cannot be defined. Vishnu, he who spread all over. Vigo Nando, he who goes, spreads, creates, throws and eats, and who is endless. Dhananjaya, he who is Arjuna, or he who wins the attraction over money.
ब्रह्मण्यो ब्रह्मकृत् ब्रह्मा ब्रह्म ब्रह्म विवर्धनः ब्रह्मवित् ब्राह्मणो ब्रह्मी ब्रह्मज्ञो ब्राह्मणप्रियः ब्रह्मण्यः, he who favors penance or tapas, knowledge, brahmanas and Vedas. Brahmakrit, he who made penance or tapas. Brahma, he who is Brahma the creator. Brahma, he who is Brahman. Brahma Vivardhanaha, he who encourages the ways to Brahman like tapas. Brahmavit,
he who knows Vedas properly. Brahmanaha, he who in the form of Brahmins teaches Vedas. Brahmi, he who controls all that is denoted by Brahma. Brahmagnaha, he who knows Vedas as himself. Brahmana Priyaha, he who is liked by Brahmins.
Mahakramo Mahakarma Mahateja Mahoragaha Mahakrutir Mahayajva Mahayajnyo Mahahavihi. Mahakramo, he who takes big steps. Mahakarma, he who does the great works like creation, upkeep and destruction. Mahateja, he who gives light to stars, or he who is a great star. Mahoragaha, he who has the form of the great serpent. Mahakritir, he who is a great doer. Mahayajva, he who shows the way by performing great sacrifices, yajna. Mahayajna, he who does the greatest yajna. Mahahavihi, he who is the greatest sacrificial offering in the
Vyastava Priya Stotra Stuti Stotarana Priyaha Purna Purahita Punya Punya Kirtiranamayaha. Stavya, he who is being praised by everybody. Stavapriya, he who likes being praised. Stotra, he who is the song about himself. Stuti, he who is the act about being sung by God. Stota, he who is the devotee who sings about him. Ranapriya, he who likes war. Purna, he who is complete. Puraita, he who completes the wishes of his devotees. Punya, he who removes their sins as one thinks about him. Punya Kitira, he who is famous for removing sins. Namaya, he who will never become empty.
Manodavatri takaro vatu preda vatu pradaga vatu predo vatu devo vatu vatu manavi.
Meaning, Manojavas, he who has a fast as a mind. Tirthakaro, he who created methods of salvation of all beings in the world. Vasureda, he who is the golden essence of himself. Vasupradaha, he who gives will to his devotees. Vasuprado, he who leads his devotees to salvation. Vasudevo, he who was born as son of Vasudeva. Vasur, he in whom all others live. Vasumana, he who has a mind which lives in all others. Havihi, he who is the sacrificial offering in the yagas.
Sadgate Satkrite Satta Sadbhute Satparayanaha Surasenaya Dashreshta Sannivasa Suyamunaha. English meaning Sadgati, he who is attained by good people. Satkriti, he who does good actions. Satta, he who is personification of non-differential knowledge. Sadbhuti, he who is truthful and ultimate truthful. Satparayanaha, he who is attained by those who know him. Surasena, he who lead an army of heroes. Yadushreshta, he who is the greatest among Yadus. Sannivasa, he who is the ultimate place where scholars go. Suyamunaha, he who is surrounded by residents of Yamuna. Thank you.
Bhutavaso Vasudeva Sarvasu Nilayo Nilaha Darpaha Darpado Drupto Durdaroda Parajata. Bhutavasa, he who is the abode of all creatures.
Vasudeva, he who is the son of Vasudeva. Sarvasu Nilaya, the abode and support of all souls. Analaha, he who is never satisfied, he has done enough for his devotees. Darpaha, the destroyer of pride. Darpada, the bestower of pride. Adarpa, he who is not proud himself. Duradara, he who is difficult to control. Aparajita, the invisible.
Vishwamurti Mahamurti Diktamurti Amurtiman
Anekamurtaye Avyaktaha Satamurti Satananaha. Vishwamurti, he who has the universe as his body. Mahamurti, he of immense form. Deeptamurti, he with the shining form. Amurtiman, he, the form that are not the result of karma.
Anekamurti, he of many forms. Avyaktaha, he who is not manifest, he who cannot be easily realized. Satamurtisa, he with 100 forms. Satananaha, he who has created various life forms and provided easy means for their survival.
एकोनैकसवककिं यतत् पदमनुत्तमं लोकबन्धु लोकनाथो बाधवो भक्तवत्सलः एकः, one who is unique and matchless in all respects. Naikah, he who is not one only. Saha, he who spreads knowledge. Vaha, the dweller. Kaha, he who shines. Kim, he about whom all questions are asked by seekers of truth. Yat, he who takes efforts. Tat, he who increases the jnanam and bhakti about him and his devotees. Padamanuttama, the supreme goal, the unexcelled protector of his devotees. Om Padaya Anuttamaya Namaha. Lokabandhu, the relative of the world. Lokanatha, the protector of the world. Madhava, the consort of Lakshmima. The Bhaktavatsalaha, affectionate towards his devotees.
Suvarnavarno Hemango Varangaschandanangadi Viraha Vishamashunyo Gritashirachalaschalaha. Suvarnavarna, the golden hued. Hemanga, he of golden hued limbs. Varanga, he who displayed his divine form to Devaki in response to her prayers. Chandanangadi, he who is adorned with delightful armlet. Viraha, the slayer of the strong demons. Vishama, he of unequal acts towards his devotees versus his enemies. Shunya, he who is devoid of defects when he takes birth as one of us. Gritashir, he who sprinkles the world with prosperity. Achala, he who is unshakable against his enemies. Chala, he who moves in the form of Vayu, etc.
Amani Manado Manyo Lokaswami Trilokadrite Sumeda Medayo Danya Satyameda Dharadaraha.
Amani, he who is not proud. Manyado, he who honors others. Manyo, the object of honor. Lokaswami, the master of the universe. Trilokadrit, he who supported the three worlds. Sumeda, the well-intentioned. Medajo, he who was born as a result of sacrifice. Danya, the blessed. Satyameda, he of true thoughts, honest and straightforward. Dharadharaha, he who supported the mountain Govardhan.
Tejo Vrisho Dyutidaraha Sarvasastra Pragraho Nigraho Vyagro Naikashringo Gadagrajaha. Tejo Vrisha, one who in the form of the sun causes rainfall at all times. Dyutidaraha, one whose form is always brilliant. Sarva Sastra Bridambaraha, one who is superior to all bearing arms. Pragraha, one who accepts the offerings of devotees with great delight. Nigraha, one who controls and destroys everything. Vyagraha, one who has no agra or end, or one who is very attentive. Vyagra is granting the prayers of the devotees. Naikashanga, one with 4 horns. Gadagrajaha, one who is revealed by mantra Nigada, or one who is elder brother of Gada.
3.
Chaturmurti Chaturbahu Chaturvyuha Chaturkati Chaturadma Chaturbhava Chaturveda Videkapat. Chaturmurti, he of 4 forms. Chaturbahu, the 4-armed. Chaturvyuha, he of the form of 4 emanations, Vyuha forms. Chaturgati, he who is in the form of the 4 Purusharthas. Chaturatma, he who manifests himself in 4 kinds of Atmas, Jiva, Antaratma, Paramatma, Jnanatma. Chaturbhava, he who gives expressions to the 4 Vyuha forms through 4 kinds of actions. Chaturvedavid, he who is known by those who are learned in the 4 Vedas. Ekapath, he who manifests only a part of his Mahima when he takes incarnation amongst human.
Samavarto nivrittatma durjayo duratikramaha durlabho durgamo durgo duravaso durariha. Samavartaha, he who takes incarnations again and again for the benefit of his devotees. Nivrittatma, he whose mind is turned away from worldly attachments. Durjayaha, he who cannot be under control except by devotion. Duratikramaha, he by transgressing whose orders sorrow is the result. Durlabho, he who is different to attain for those who are not single-minded in devotion. Durgamo, he whose true nature is difficult to attain. Durgo, he who causes pain and suffering to evil-minded Rakshasas. Duravaso, he whose abode Sri Vaikuntham is not easy to attain. Durariha, the dispeller of evil-minded enemies.
Shubhango Lokasaranga Stutantu Tantu Vartanaha Indra Karma Mahakarma Krita Karma Kritagamaha. Shubhanga, he with an auspicious form that is meditated upon by his true devotees. Lokasaranga, he who preached the superficially acceptable goals in this world. Stutantu, he who expanded this universe starting from himself. Tantuvartanaha, he who augments the expansion of himself into this universe by protecting it. Indra Karma, he who is responsible for the powers of Indra. Mahakarma, he of magnanimous actions. Krita Karma, he who practiced the acts he preached to the asuras in order to convince them. Kritagamaha, the propounder of the Agama, spiritual text.
Udbhava Sundara Sundo Ratnanabha Sulochanaha Arko Vajasana Shringi Jayanta Sarva Vijyaye. Udbhava, he who created the exalted gods and goddesses. Sundara, he who is handsome. Sundo, he who is soft to his devotees. Ratnanabha, he with a gem-like navel. Sulochanaha, he of superior wisdom. Arko, he who is in the form of the sun. Vajasana, he who provides nourishment for all of his creation. Shringi, he who appears like the one having the horn. Jayanta, the conqueror. Sarva Vijay, he who is omniscient and victorious.
Suvarna Binduhu Rakshobhya Sarva Vagishwareshwaraha Maharado Mahagarto Mahabhuto Mahanidhihi. Suvarna Binduhu, he is the one whose limbs are radiant like gold. Rakshobhya, he is the one who cannot be agitated. Sarva Vagishwareshwaraha, he is the ruler of all speech. Maharado, he is the one who is like a great body of water. Mahagarto, he is the one who is like a great chasm. Mahabhuto, he is the great creation. Mahanidhi, he is the great treasure.
Kamuda Kundara Kunda Parjanya Pavana Nilaha Amritancha Mritavapuhu Sarvagnya Sarvato Mukmukaha. Kamuda is the one who gladdens the earth by ridding all the evildoers. Kundara is the one who is the bestower of knowledge of the Supreme Reality. Kunda is the one who is pure and beautiful like Kunda. Parjanya is the one who is from whom superior birth is attained. Pavana is the one who purifies in the form of wind, Agni and water. Anila is the one who is accessible to all his devotees. Amritasa is the one who feeds all his devotees with nectar himself. Mritavapuhu is the one who is nectar-like body. Sarvagnya is the one who knows all the needs of his devotees. Sarvato Mukhaha is the one who can be approached in many paths. Sulavasuvritasittaha Shatrujit Shatrutapanaha Nakrodo Dumbaroshvatta Shanurandranishudanaha. Sulavaha, he is the one who is easily attained. Suvrataha, he is the one of many auspicious forms. Siddha, he is the one who is attained. Shatrujit, he is the one who is victorious over his enemies. Shatrutapanaha, he is the one who burns up his enemies. Nakrodaha, he is the one who is willed under illusion. Udumbraha, he is the one who nourishes all the creatures. Ashritaha, he is the one who never stays their shame. Shanu Randrani Shudanaha, he is the one who slew the wrestler Chanura.
Sahasrashi Saptajikva Sapteda Saptavahanaha Amurtarana Gochintyo Vaikridvayanashanaha. Meanings. Sahasrashi meaning the 1,000 rays who illumines everything in this universe. Saptajikva meaning the 7th month. Sapteda meaning one who is kindled in the form of fire by the 7 kind of offering. Saptavahana meaning he who has 7 vehicles in the form of 7 Vedic mantras represented by the 7 horses of the sun. Amurti meaning he who does not have a body, that is the effect of karma. Anagaha meaning the sinless. Achintya meaning he who is incomparable to anything known. Bhayakrit meaning he who causes fear. Bhayanashana meaning he who destroys fear.
Anubhat Shastulo Guno Nirgun Guru Mahan Arita Swarita Swasyaha Vamsho Vamsavardhanaha, meaning Anur, one who is small like an atom. Brahad, one who is extremely big. Krisha, one who is thin. Stulo, one who is stout. Guno, one who has the nature to create, upkeep and destroy. Mahar, one who is great. Aditya, one who is carried by anything. Swadita, one who is carried by himself. Swasya, one who has a beautiful face, then from where Vedas came out. Brahvamsha, who belongs to the first dynasty. Vamsavardhana, who makes the dynasty grow. Bale Bhimat Katita Yogi Yogi Tasdavakamada Ashram Nasama Supanuvayana. Bale Bhimat carry over Katito. One who is called Asimitru.
Be
Attend
by
by
yoga.
Yoga.
What?
One who is greater among who eat. Navakamada. One who
Fulfills
fulfills
all
all
desires.
desires.
Ashrama,
Aslama.
who is
He who is
the place
the place
where
when
beings
being
can
can
relax.
relax.
Shama,
Summer.
one who destroys
One who destroys
during deluge.
during deluge.
Suparna,
Superman.
one who is a tree
One who see
whose leaves
who sleep
are Vedas.
Vedas.
Vayu Vahanaha,
Vayuvahana.
he who makes
He who makes move. Dhanurdharo dhanurvedo dando damayata dama aparajita sarvasaho niyanta niyamo yamaha. Meaning, Dhanurdhara, he who is a great archer. Dhanurveda, he who knows science of archery. Dando, he who is the weapon to those who punish and also is the punishment.
Start.
Damayata, he who controls and rules people. Damaha, he who also is the patience when being ruled. Aparajita, he who can never be won by his enemies. Sarvasaha, he who is an expert in everything. Niyanta, he who make people obey rules. Aniyama, he who is not subject to any rule. Ayama, he who does not have fear of death.
सत्त्ववान् सात्विकः सत्यः सत्यधर्मपरायणः अभिप्राय प्रियार्होर प्रियकृत् प्रीतिवर्धनः Sattvavan, he who is brave and valorous. Satvika, he who is soft natured. Satya, he who is good to the good people. Satya Dharma Parayanaha, he who holds truth and charity as most important. Abhipraya, he who is approached by the seekers of salvation. Priyarha, he who is most suitable for giving away our most cherished things. Arha, he who is most appropriate for prayers. Priyakrit, he who fulfills desires of his devotees. Preeti Vardhanaha, he who increases devotion of his devotees.
विहाय सगते ज्योतिर सूरचेर्मतभुग् विभु रविर्विरोचना सूर्य सविता रविरोचना. Vihaya Hasa Gatir Jyotir. He was the means for the attainment of salvation. Surachi, one who has the good desire to protect the world. Hota Bhuk Vibhu, he that is the bright fortnight of the moon. Ravi, the sun in his summer solstice. Virochana, the illuminant. Surya, one who generates brilliance in Surya or Agni. Savita, he who produces or brings forth the crops in the form of the sun. Ravi Lochana, he who illuminates, he has the sun for his eyes.
Ananto huta bhokta sukado naikajo grajaha anirvinna sadamasi lokadishtanamatputaha. He is limitless. He eats what is offered in Homa. He is the one who consumes nature. He gives his devotees the pleasure of salvation. He has taken many forms. He is in front of everything. He has no worries. He pardons the mistakes of his devotees. He is the basis of the world. He is the wonder.
Sanatana Kapila Kapira Vyaya Swasti Da Swasti Krit Swasti Swasti Bhuk Swasti Dakshina. Sanat, the object of enjoyment. Sanatana Tama, the most ancient. Kapila, he who is of beautiful complexion. Kapiravyaya, he who enjoys the never diminishing bliss. Swastida, the giver of auspiciousness. Swastikrit, the doer of good to the devotees. Swasti, he who is auspiciousness. Swastibhuk, the enjoyer of bliss. Swasti Dakshina, he who gives auspicious things such as Dakshina to his devotees.
Araudra Kundali Chakri Vikram ऊर्जितशासनः शब्दात्मिकः शब्दशः शिशिरः शर्वरीकरः आरौद्र he who is never cruel Kundali he who is Adisesha or he who wears shining globes Chakri he who wears chakra the holy wheel Vikrami he walks beautifully Urjita Shasanah he who gives firm orders Shabdatika he who cannot be reached by words Shabdashaha he who can tolerate all sounds Shishira he who is cool like winter Sarvarikara he who creates darkness like night
Akrurapesalo daksho dakshina shaminamaraha vidvattamo vitabayo punyasravana kirtanaha Akruraha he who was not cruel Pesala one who is supremely soft Daksha he who removes evil elements very quickly Dakshina he who is pleasant and amiable Shaminamaraha the foremost in bearing the burden of protection of his devotees Vidvattama the best among those who know what to do Vitabayo he because of whom fear is dispelled Punya Sravana Kirtanaha he whose Nama Sravanam and Kirtanam are purified
उत्थारणो दुष्कृतिः पुण्यो दुःस्वप्ननाशनः वीरः रक्षणः सन्तो जीवनः पर्यवस्थितः Uttharano he who lifts up Dushkritiha he who destroys the evildoers Punyo the purifier Duswapnanashana he who destroys the evil dreams Viraha he who destroys the powerful bonds Rakshana the savior Santo he who prospers those who seek refuge in him Jivana the life giver Paryavastita he who stands beside always
Anantarupa Anantashri Jitamanyurbayapaha Chatur Ashro Gabiratma Vidisha Vyadisha Dishaha Anantarupa you have infinite forms Anantashri you have infinite wealth, glory, power, etc. Jitamanyu he who has conquered his anger Vayapaha he who destroys fear of samsara in the mind of his devotees. Chatur Asra one who is skilled in all aspects. Gabiratma he of deep and profound nature. Vidisha he who has revealed all sastras in elaborate detail. Vyadisha he who appoints all the different gods in their respective positions. Dishaha he who commands.
Anadir bhurbhuvo lakshmi suviro ruchirangadaha janano jana janmadir bhimo bhima parakramaha Anadir he who has no beginning Bhurbhuvaha he who exists in himself with no other support he who is the source of all knowledge Lakshmi the wealth Suviro Om Suviraya Namaha Ruchirangadaha he who bestows his lovely form for his devotees to enjoy Jananaha the creator Jana Janmade he who is the root cause for all beings Bhimaha he who is frightful to those who do not follow dharma Bhima Parakramya Om Bhima Parakramaya Namaha
Adharanilayo dhata pushpahasah prajagarah urdhvagah saptathacharah pranadav pranavah panah Adharanilayah one who is the fundamental sustainer Adhata above whom there is no other to control Pushpasaha he who shines like an opening flower Prajagaraha
ever awake, he who knows no sleep, Urdvagaha, one who walks in the path of truth, Pranadaha, one who gives prana to all. The term prana in our Shastras means the physiological function, the manifestations to life of man. Pranava, Omkara is Pranava. Panaha, the supreme manager of universe.
Pramanam prana nilaya prana vrit prana jivanaha tattvam tattva videkatma janma mrityu charatigaha. Pramanam, he whose very form is the Vedas. Prananilayaha, he in whom all the pranas stand established. Pranabrit, he who rules over all the pranas. Pranajivanaha, he who maintains life, birth and all living creatures. Tattvam, the reality, that which is internal, the essence. Tattvit, the one who has realized fully the reality, meaning the original essential. Ekatma, the Advaita reality. Narayana is known as the One Self. Janma Mrityu Jaratigaha, one who knows no change or modification in himself. They are birth, growth, decay and the internal, the change itself. Bhurpuvasvastharustara savita prapitamaham yajno yajnapader yajva yajnango yajnavahanaham. Bhurpuvasvastharu, one who is the snap in the tree of life existing in all the universe of the higher world, our world and the lower world. Tara, one who helps all to cross over. Savita, he who is the father of all. Prapitamaha, he who is the father of even the father of all beings. Yajna, one whose very nature is Yajna. Yajnapati, the lord of all Yajnas. Yajva, the one who performs Yajna according to the strict prescriptions laid down in Vedas. Yajnanga, one whose limbs are the things employed in Yajna. Yajnavahanaha, one who fulfills Yajnas in complete and exact accord with the Vedic instructions.
Yajna Bhrit Yajna Krit Yajni Yajna Bhuk Yajna Sadhanaha Yajnantakrit Yajna Guhyam Annam Annada Evacha. Yajna Bhrit, the ruler of all Yajnas. Yajnantakrit, one who performs the Yajnas. The same term also means one who destroys the Yajnas. Yajni, one who is the constant enjoyer of all the perpetual Yajnas in all Yajnas. Yajna Bhuk, all that is offered into the sacred fire during an yajna. Yajna sadhanaha, one who fulfills all yajnas. Yajnantakrit, one who performs the last concluding in all yajnas. Yajna guhyam, Sri Narayana is most profound truth to be realized in all yajnas. Annam, one who has himself become the food. Annada, one who eats the food.
Atmayoni swayam jato Vaikhana Samagayana Devaki Nandana Shrashta Shitisha Papanashana. Atmayoni, he who himself is the material cause. Swayam Jata, he who himself as the Lord of the universe has no other instrumental cause. Vaikhana, he who dug through the earth. Samagayana, he who sings the Sama songs. Devaki Nandana, he who appeared as to be born to Devaki in his incarnation as Sri Krishna. Shrashta, he who creates from his own infinite power. Shitisha, he who is the Lord of the earth. Papanashana, meditating upon whom all vasanas are liquidated.
शंखभृत् नंदकी चक्री शार्ङ्गधन्वा गदाधरः रथाङ्गापनिरक्षोभ्यः सर्वप्रहरणायुधः. Shankha, conch which generates high pitch. Brit,
one who bears it, Nandaki, he who has Nandaka the sword, Chakri, he who has the chakra, the discus, Shangadanva, he who has the bow named Shanga, Gadadaraha, one who bears the mace, Rathangapani, he who is armed with the wheel on his hand, Rakshobhyaha, he who is unshakable, Sarva Praharanayudaha, he who has infinite weapons.
Vanamali Gadi Sharangi, Shangi Chakri Chanandaki, Shriman Narayano Vishnur, Vasudevo Birakshadu, Shri Vasudevo Birakshadu Om Namaiti. Shriman Narayana, who wears the garland of flowers and who wields the conch, mace, discus and sword. May that all-persuasive Vasudeva protect us all.
Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Varanane